YouTube, we have more crazy crime coming to you, this time from Brazil, and in the city of Sao Paulo, where Suzane, who was the daughter of Manfred Richthofen, and the daughter of Maricia Richthofen, who was a Brazilian of Lebanese descent. Her father worked for a company who did the highway development in Sao Paulo. Her father worked as a director of a company who did road development in Sao Paulo. Her mother was a psychiatrist, and she also had a younger brother by the name of Andreas, who was born in 1987. Now, her father claimed to be the grandson of Manfred Richthofen, who was a German war pilot, but this is disputed as the Richthofen family claim to have no link to this family in Brazil. Now, I have no idea who this Richthofen family is, but if you don't know, a lot of Germans after World War II and some after World War I did go to South America. I don't want to name who these Germans are because you can imagine who they were, but just look up Colonia Dignidad and you can do your own research. Now, after graduating from a German high school, Suzane went on to study law at university. She was described as happy but a little shy. She was also known to have a very good relationship with her brother and her parents. In the summer of 1999, she began to practice jiu-jitsu, and that's where she got to know Daniel Carvinhos, who became her boyfriend and an accomplice in murder. So on October the 31st, 2002, Suzane, who it seemed had been planning the murder for months, went upstairs to check if her parents were asleep. She then disconnected the alarm system of their estate. She then allowed her boyfriend, 21-year-old Daniel Carvinhos, and his brother, Christian Carvinhos, to enter the house. The brothers went upstairs, saw the parents, hit them with iron sticks, and then strangled them with towels. Suzane was waiting in the living room downstairs, and after the murder was accomplished, the three of them simulated a break-in by putting papers all around the house. They made a mess in the father's library. They stole money to make it seem like it was a burglary. Then they left. Suzane and Daniel went to a motel, and Christian went to go get food. Early in the morning the next day, Daniel and Suzane, they go to pick up 15-year-old Andreas, who was at some internet cafe at the time. They go in the house, they discover the parents, so then they call the police claiming, "Our parents are dead, we don't know what happened, please, please, please help us." But the police officers, who are not stupid, they went in, they had a look at the crime scene, and they're like, "Hold on a minute, bruv. This looks staged. This doesn't look like a crime scene that's just random. Everything looks a bit too perfect." So they soon began to question the family. They talked to all the siblings and all the cousins and the relatives of the Richthofen family. They said at the time that what made them even more suspicious is the random regularity in which the papers were spread, but also the alarm system being turned off. See, for them, in the area, there are no criminal masterminds. If you think about it, if you're going to burgle someone's house, right, you go in, you knock the door down, you take whatever it is you're going to take, and you jet. But those who are going to go after the alarm system, to have the foresight to be able to turn it off, that wasn't these people, according to the police. But also, the police noticed the extreme calm and coolness of Suzane after the murders. She was seen in the pool a day later acting normal. She also celebrated her birthday after the funeral, and she was acting all happy and enjoying her birthday as if nothing had happened. So the police officers thought, okay, well, why don't we go monitor them? Let's go and shadow Suzane and her boyfriend and see what we come up with. The clue came with Christian, who bought a motorcycle a few days later, and he paid cash in $100 bills. And again, like I said, the police looked at these two and they were like, hold on, Daniel and Christian, they're both crooks. So where are they getting this money from? Now, in May 2005, while Suzane was awaiting trial, she was actually allowed to go home but was placed on house arrest. So the police thought, okay, well, what is the motive? And they figured that Suzane was actually really in love with Daniel, but her parents, did not approve of Daniel. They discovered, well, he was quite a drug addict. At the time in 2002, marijuana isn't what it is today, and they thought, well, this guy is smoking drugs every single day, he's always high, he can't be a good fit for our daughter. He also came from a lower class background, he was unwilling to work and unwilling to complete his studies. In July 2002, her parents went off on vacation for a while, and Daniel moved into the house with her and her siblings. And then when her parents came back, Suzane suggested to her father, hey, can you buy me an apartment? I want to live there with Daniel. But her father said no. She goes, look, you can do whatever you want as long as you pay for it. You want an apartment? Sure, go get one, but you buy it. And I think this contempt came not because she wanted an apartment, but because she wanted an apartment with Daniel. She continued to see Daniel in secret, and she told the police that one of the reasons that motivated her to do this is because she was in fear that she would lose Daniel permanently. And she figured, well, if my parents aren't here, then I can have Daniel and there'll be no worries. Which, to be fair, is kind of stupid because ain't nobody worth that much trouble. Her lawyer, however, claimed that Suzane wasn't in love with him at all, and Daniel is the one that masterminded all of this. Another part of the motive would have been that her parents, Mr. Richthofen, was actually worth $17 million. Which is why she probably had the audacity to say, hey father, please get me an apartment. Because you don't just go to your parents and say, hey, buy me a house, unless of course you're rich. And of course this would be a motive because then she would inherit a large portion of money if her parents are dead. Prosecutor Roberto Tardelli, he said that Suzane had a huge motivation in taking the life of her parents because then she would get her hands on all the money they worked so hard to create. He said she wanted her freedom and independence without having to work for it. During the trial, Daniel claimed that she was actually abused by her father, and in the trial, she and her brother, Andreas, denied any of this happening. It was also claimed in the trial that her parents were alcoholics, but at the time of death, the autopsy report did not find any alcohol in their system. So eventually, after many delays, the trial began on July 17th, 2006. And during the trial, as expected, she blamed the brothers for everything and they blamed her. They said it was all her, it was her idea, she made us do it. Prosecutor Roberto, though, he said, no, for me, Suzane was behind everything. She was the mastermind. Roberto Tardelli, the prosecutor, said, I want her to go to jail for 50 years. She was described as the personification of the evil blonde. Eventually, on July the 22nd, Suzane was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Daniel got the same sentence, and his brother Christian was sentenced to 38 years. And as of April 2007, she is in custody in a women's prison outside of Sao Paulo. But the reason why in Brazil this became a big case was if you look at Suzane, the mild-mannered, happy girl, and then if you look at the crime that took place, the two, the brutality of it and the sweetness of her, they don't go hand in hand. Whereas the two brothers, they fit the bill. Unemployed, uneducated, drug addicts. Suzane was pretty. She was from an upper middle class family of German and Lebanese descent. She was always the top of her class in school, never had a problem in school, wanted to study, wanted her grades, never got into trouble for anything. She could speak foreign languages and she did the ballet. Now, there were many people who were initially on Suzane's side, but there was a TV interview that changed everything. Before the interview, the cameras were actually already on, and her lawyer said to her, make sure you cry out loud, we need you to seek sympathy. However, this interview destroyed her credibility, and in court, Suzane, she was calm and she was cool, while the two brothers, they kept crying. Now, when doing the research, only one word came to mind when I read about this, just stupid. There's no need. If you break it down, let's take the facts for what they are, right? For what they are. You got a girl who's so madly in love with a guy that she's willing to kill her parents for it, right? And I know when you're young and dumb and in Daniel's case full of cum, you're going to do stupid shit. But there comes a time where you think, all right, enough is enough. It's like crimes get so bad that just thinking about killing your parents is actually okay. Because there's so many others that have actually gone through with it. And in this case, it's like, well, if you're thinking about it, okay, don't think about it. But if that's the most you're going to do, fair enough. Just don't go kill your parents. And it's like to push your mind over the edge. But you could see the kind of cowardice in her as well, where she made the two brothers do it. Knowing that they are madly, well, one of them's madly in love with her. They're drug addicts. She can give them money. She's got plenty of it. And she probably did fall in love with Daniel, thinking that she could probably fix him. I don't know. Either way, this is just the height of stupidity. And it's crazy how someone who is pretty, has everything, has all the money in the world, right? In Brazil, that's half poor, half rich, so to speak, right? She got to the good side of that and she pissed it all away. Why? Because of some fucking drug addict who in a day or two, a week or a year would never have given a shit about her. Anyway, comment, tell me what you think.